Welcome back to a brand new Civ 6 or Civilization 6 video. We're back at it again, ranking every leader in part 2 of this series. I'll have part 1 linked down below, either in the pinned comment or the description, so go check that out if you want to first. We're only ranking the next 10 civs instead of 18 like I did last time, so I can milk this series more than Disney milks Star Wars. In any case, if you do enjoy, leave a like and subscribe to not miss out on future content, and let's get into the number 39 slot. The first civ in the second video, number 39 on the list, is the CCP. We got Qin Shi Huang with the only known slavery mechanic in Civ, as he works builders to death so hard that they build monuments and large wonders in a fraction of the time it takes. A pretty solid civ for the most part. Everyone from here on out, including parts of the last video, is at least somewhat decent, and the first Emperor does allow him to complete 15% of a wonder cost with just one builder charge, which is pretty damn nice. Dynastic Cycle gives Eurekas and Inspirations another 10% increase, which is honestly pretty huge, especially when considering that Wonders give him free Eurekas as well. The Crouching Tiger is an absolute disgrace to being called a unique unit. I'd much rather have China not have a unique unit, so we don't get baited by something as cool as named the Crouching Tiger. Absolute garbage. One range, the high combat strength does not make up for it when you're still getting two-shotted by knights anyways. The Great Wall is great for a culture victory, no pun intended, as the amount of culture and tourism you can get in the mid to late game is huge, although it is sort of specific. You have to build it out on your border, and it does get kind of difficult, especially when you get that gore that looks like, it's just no uniform Great Wall. It's just built in, like, different places on your empire. Like, once it might be close to your city, and then in another city it might be just so far away. It looks weird on the map, but they are a pretty solid civ, especially for a culture victory. At number 38 on the list, we have Catherine Black Queen, also known as Catherine de' Medici, also known as Catherine Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome. Aside from role-playing a Minotaur with the second part of her in-game name, her hobbies include scarfing down wonders like patrons at Heart Attack Grill, scarf down anything edible. Her unique abilities is probably one of the most decent on the list. Catherine's Flying Squadron gives an extra Diplo visibility, so unless you're playing on Deity, you should be able to have a good combat strength advantage in the early stages of the game against the AI. She does get free spies as well and gets them earlier with castles, and they all start with a free promotion, which is absolutely huge. Grand Tour gives her production towards wonder and double the tourism from all wonders in the medieval Renaissance and industrial era. The Garde Imperiale is very strong when you have multiple civs on your own continent. That calls you the N-word and you have to go get your retribution from them. The Chateau is also pretty solid, although being able to get culture and gold into tourism, it's cool and all, except for the fact that it has to be placed adjacent to a resource, so it's kind of a little RNG, although most of the time you shouldn't have too many problems. All in all, a pretty solid middle-of-the-pack civ. At number 37, we have the Simp Queen, and I'll be honest, I can't blame those people. If we ever get cloning right, we need to bring Gatarja back, because she obviously has a direct line to God, with her praying a little, and then BAM! A navy that makes the Spanish Armada and its prime look pitiful. You can buy naval units with faith, and religious units pay no movement to embark or disembark, which is pretty useless, honestly. Not to mention 2 faith you get from settling near the coast, or on lake tiles. Coast and lake tiles also provide a little bit of adjacency, but it's really the Zhong that makes her a very strong domination civ. Remember, you can faith buy them, it replaces the frigate, and it gets movement speed and combat strength when in a formation, so you do want to get units, support units really, even melee units linked to this guy. As long as you have some sort of formation, they will get your movement speed, and you will get extra combat strength. The Kampong gives you production and food as well as housing, which is really everything you need, and even an avenue towards a culture victory with tourism you could be getting. Another decent civ, middle of the pack, not bad at all. She's pretty terrible on a Pangaea map, but in an archipelago, she's definitely a top 10 civ at least. At number 36, the Congo comes next, the only communist civ included in this game, because when you found a religion, it is now our religion, and he'll get pissy if it isn't. They must have Superman as their unique unit as well, because they can see through trees and apparently dodge arrows with ease. Mvemba Nzinga has a pretty well-rounded kit, aside from the fact that he can't found religions, nor get great profits, nor win a religious victories, although he gains all beliefs of any religion that establish itself in a majority of of his cities, and he gets apostles every time he finishes a theater square or Banza, which is a unique neighborhood district that comes earlier, always provides 5 housing, but has to be placed on forests or rainforests. The best thing about him is the key C, his civ ability, production, food, faith, and 4 gold from each relic, artifact, and sculpture, and you get also 50% more great artist, great musician, and great merchant points, and the palace has 5 slots for great works. It's really good, except for the fact that relics, for the most part, you're never going to get, so it's really all about the artifacts and sculptures, so you do want to spam out those great artists, and like I said, the Gout Biba can see through forests and woods, and gets 10 combat strength when defending against range attacks as a swordsman replacement, so you can very easily get a nice chunk of land by, let's just say, freedomizing your neighbors, as long as they have some forests and jungles nearby. Robert the Bruce of Scotland is up next at number 35, and as long as England isn't in the game, they really aren't a threat militarily, with what is obviously the worst unique unit in the entire game. Being able to use the War of Liberation in a game has the same odds as me pulling down my pants and showing you guys the pink of my butthole on stream. It's just never gonna happen. Mainly because last time I streamed was 6 months ago, but the other part doesn't sound too appealing either. Robert has one of the best unique abilities if you can get enough amenities. Happy Cities receiving 5 science and 5% production, as well as 1 great scientist point and 1 great engineer per campus and industrial zone is solid, I guess, but you have to get those cities at +3 amenities for the entire game, so you are going to have to, especially in the early to mid game, trade for luxuries and really limit your growth as much as you possibly can. And if you're able to get +5 amenities, ecstatic cities double the amounts I just listed. The Highland, Scotland doesn't have a unique unit. Their golf course unique tile improvement gives them 2 amenities in the mid to late game, so I guess Scottish people like golf or something. I never knew that, but honestly, if you know what you're doing, they are a top tier civ. It's just so hard, even if you do know what you're doing. You know, sometimes you might just get cucked or something and the entire world hates you for some reason, and you're not going to be able to even get happy cities, and as always, the War of Liberation almost never happens. Like, you have to be really lucky and really specific to ever get that to happen to you. Persia is next at the number 34 spot. Won a blitzkrieg in the ancient era, say no more. Cyrus is Civ 6's resident drug dealer, as after declaring war, he Pablo Escobar's meth out of nowhere and fuels his soldiers, making them literally run as fast as horsemen. One of the best domination civs in the entire game. The one problem is the fact that, number 1, the immortal unique unit is absolutely disgusting to go up against. Like, it really is a top tier unique unit. It is a swordsman who now has the same combat strength as a regular swordsman, cheaper iron cost, and a ranged attack of 2. It's pretty much an archer just as strong as a swordsman, and that's incredible. The Paradise is pretty good for culture victories, as are satrapies, and they make your roads a lot better. The Fall of Babylon, giving him 2 movement speed for the first 10 turns after a surprise war, is really easy to get, and he gets loyalty when occupied cities with a garrisoned unit, and surprise wars only count as formal wars for the purposes of grievances and warmongering. The reason he is sort of in the middle right here is the fact that a lot of his abilities really don't, I guess it's sort of a nitpick, but they don't work like too well. You know, for example, Macedon's all about domination with science as a backup. Cyrus seems to be half domination, half culture, and they do work really well. That's why he's really a middle of the pack civ, but I kind of have grown less positive of him as time went on, as other civs, especially in the New Frontier Pass and Gathering Storm, do his job a lot better, like for example the Ottomans, like for example Scythia, like for example Macedon, but he still is one of the best domination civs, especially if you're going for a classical era rush. Wilfrid Laurier is next on our list at the number 33 spot. I declare war. No. Wilfrid's probably one of the best civs in the early game because the AI can't declare a surprise war against you, and the AI has like half a chromosome shared amongst themselves, so they're not going to be able to, most of the time, make use of a formal war. Not only that, but they can actually farm tundra tiles, and they get extra yields as the game goes on for any tundra tile improvement, as well as double strategic resource accumulation, and you can purchase them for 50% cheaper. One of the best civs in tundra in the game. The only other one that comes close is Russia, although Russia gets faith, which is great early on and for their victory type. Canada makes Tundra a lot more livable. Four Faces of Peace gives them that Diplo favor and tourism synergy, making them a great cultured / diplomatic civ. The ice hockey rink gives amenities and culture. For each Tundra Hill, snow tiles adjacent. It only gives one amenity though. It doesn't give like 6 if you have it all around a Tundra. It's just the culture for that. It also gets 4 culture when adjacent to a stadium, so you can get a lot of culture with just a couple ice hockey rinks. The Mounties' main purpose is to create national parks for a culture victory. Don't try to fight with them because they're damn near useless. All in all, a really strong civ with one of the best culture and diplomatic games, as well as being able to really stay away from the center of the map and through most wars, as most civs won't really want your lands, because a lot of the times it's going to be trash tundra tiles that you yourself make decent. It's Eleanor, but with a baguette and silly mustache. Eleanor of France is number 32 on the list, and the reason she's so much higher than the English Eleanor is because France gets production towards medieval Renaissance and industrial era wonders, and that gives her a lot of spots to place great works in, which makes well with her unique ability, which makes -1 loyalty per turn in forged cities within 9 tiles for each great work. That's pretty damn good. Not even to mention that France's abilities for the most part are really strong. The Garde Imperiale is a line infantry replacement that makes fighting on your own continent really easy, as well as great general point generation, and the Chateau gives her another avenue to go towards cultures, which, with synergized with her great works ability, means you are going to be getting a lot of culture while stealing a couple enemy cities here and there. So you are a very strong civ, make no mistake about it, especially if you're like really good at this game and you know exactly what you're doing and how to do it. Eleanor could be a top tier civ without a doubt in my mind. The one problem is it does make her great works ability really is kind of hard to do. So a lot of the times in the early game until like the literal medieval era, you literally have nothing. You have no unique abilities until about the medieval era, so you have a really, really weak early game. I'm already tired as I'm writing this script, so there is no joke for Shaka, but I will remind you that Civ 6 Zulu was the Babylon of Civ 5. Yeah, it was the Civ 6 Babylon of Civ 5, and a travesty to civilization that still haunts my nightmares. Shaka in this game is still a really strong domination civ, although he really isn't the best. He can form corps and armies extremely early on with 5 combat strength to both, which is really nice, don't get me wrong about that. It's just the fact that his other abilities really aren't the best. Easy Bongo's probably the next best one, with loyalty per turn in garrison cities, which is nice, and conquering cities with a unit will upgrade it into a corps or army if the proper civics are unlocked. The Akanda is also pretty decent, as corps and armies can be built outright once the technology is unlocked, so you don't have to get like an armory or anything, and you get 2 gold and 1 science for each building in the Akanda, which is pretty good, honestly. The Impi, though, is probably it's pretty bad, honestly. It gets flanking bonuses and lower cost and low maintenance, and gets experience faster, which is all well and good until you realize it is a spear line unit, which is the worst line in the entire game. But the fact that corps and armies can be made that early is what catapults him all the way up to the number 31 spot. Really strong domination civ, although the thing that is sort of keeping him a little bit lower is the fact that he's only a domination civ. Like, if you have a bad start and everyone's just so far ahead of you that even with corps and armies, you just can't really do anything, then your abilities are genuinely useless, and you have to go it alone without any sort of benefits or help. So being restricted to just one victory type isn't the best, and even that one victory type he isn't the best at. If he was as strong as the Ottomans, for example, or Grand Colombia in a domination victory, then he'd probably be in like the top 15-20, but the fact that he isn't means he is going to be down in the 31 spot. Still really good, but definitely not as good as he could be. Not as good as Civ 5 Shaka, that's for sure. And finally for this video, at the number 30 spot, we have the resident wizard Christina. I call her that because of the fact that once you have 3 great work slots and wonders, with at least 2 great work slots, she automatically themes them when they're filled. Like, it's just some sort of wizardry that we still, to this day, science cannot, like, goddamn comprehend. And she can also get the Queen's Bibliothèque in the Government Plaza. The Queen's Bibliothèque gives extra great work slots and a governor title, although being able to only build it once, think of it as an extra wonder when it comes to the slots for writing, music, and any type of art, but it only provides two, so it isn't the craziest thing in the world. The Open Air Museum is, in my opinion, a little better because it gives loyalty, culture, and tourism for each type of terrain in which Sweden has founded a city, and you could get one per city. So for example, if you have a city settled on snow, tundra, desert plains, or grassland, even settle on snow, even if it's a bad city, just to get this, every open air museum would give up to 10 culture and 10 tourism, and with, let's say, 20 cities, that's about 200, which is absolutely mind-boggling. Nobel Prize is decent, but it doesn't really work with the rest of her kit. The Diplo favor when earning a great person really makes her a menace in diplomatic victories, but the great engineer and great scientist points really aren't as good as you would think, because a lot of the times you're going to want to build holy sites and theater squares, because you're going for a culture victory. So you're only going to have one of either great engineers or great scientists, unless you actually do get super powerful, 10, 15 population cities everywhere, so it's not as big as you would think. And she also has 3 unique World Congress competitions, but they don't really give her a benefit because anybody can win them. She does get Diplo favor towards that, so I guess she has a little bit of an advantage. And the Carolean would be good if it A, wasn't a spearline unit, and B, if the combat strength was a little bit higher per unused movement. It has 3 movement speed and gets 3 combat strength when attacking, depending on how much it has used, up to 9, but a lot of the times you are going to be moving twice and then attacking, so if it was like 4 or 5, I feel like that would make it a little better and more worth it to build, but still one of the best culture civs, especially in the entire game. That's going to be it for this video. As always, I do enjoy reading the comments down below, so let me know where you would rank the civs and what I have gotten totally wrong. And if you enjoy, as always, leave a like and subscribe to not miss out the next couple videos coming out where we finally rank the top 30 civs. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.